You're listening to the Welcome to the Rebellion podcast. Hey, Jay, are you ready? Because it's time to start the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another podcast. I've got my, do I dare say, my comic book brother, my friend that I met all the way in Canada. What a crazy thing that happened that we got to meet in Canada. My man, Chad, the creator, author, writer, I don't know, CEO of Deathshroud. Didn't even know about this work until I saw it pop up on Ripasend of all things. And I was like, holy crap, look at this thing. Look at all the people that are following him. And what a discovery this has been. And then just so you guys know, when I was in Toronto at the Transformers convention, this guy right here sends me a message. He goes, hey, man, you're in my neck of the woods. I'm going to come by and say hey. And he bought me dinner.
I'm a nice guy.
I should have ordered more.
You ready? 3 rounds on the house.
I should have ordered some more. No, man, it's awesome. And if you're watching this on Friday, August 29th, which I'm releasing this all over on Spotify and everything, everywhere else. But if you're, this is the last official day to pick up Deathshroud. We're going to talk about it. The links are in the description. Go check it out. We'll probably play the official trailer sometime. If you're just listening to it, the links will also be there. Go check it out. Chad, Larsson, everybody. How are you, good sir?
I am fabulous. Thank you.
What an intro, right?
Right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And by the way, going back to your comment on how random and awesome that was, that I messaged you and you're like, yeah, bro, like I'm over here. Let's go. So I honestly, I totally thought there was like a 90% chance that I wouldn't even get a response, but I was like, you never know unless you ask, right? And I saw you were at like Toys R Us and all this stuff, and I was like, what the hell? You're at Canada's Wonderland. Like, dude, I could be there in 30 minutes. So that was awesome.
I didn't even know you were in Canada. That's the best part.
Dude,
it was just like it was awesome. And yeah, dude, I love that kind of stuff. So I'm so glad that you took a chance and reached out. I love that. I love doing meetups and hanging out and seeing people. And
but it says so much about, honestly, this sounds corny, but it says so much about you, dude. Like the fact that, like, you know, I'm a stranger. I know it's just like through the interwebs that you know of me. And you brought me in with open arms. That was pretty cool. I got to meet X-Ray Girl and all of your other friends. So that was it was cool.
But you're also in great shape. So I was a little jealous that I'm a little doughier compared to. Listen, Chad doesn't show it. Like he live streams like way low, so you don't see him. Like he's freaking jacked.
Wow.
What do you like? Run marathons or something? Like what the heck?
I'm taking those the Joe Rogan supplements. That's the secret. The AG1.
Are you going to try to make any like fan expos with Ripaverse or Ripasend?
Yeah, I mean, you had brought it up, right? MegaCon.
The MegaCon in Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be, first of all, like if I do that, which I think I'm going to, make a whole trip out of it. So, you know, go there for like a week or something and enjoy the nice weather while it's freezing cold and shitty up here in Canada. But honestly, I think it's super important, not just for, you know, to further establish relationships and see you guys again and actually meet Eric in real life, and all, the whole crew over there in real life, but as well as like for the fans, right? Because like it's a great opportunity to actually have, you know, one-on-one, have the book in hand, like they can open it up, flip through it, and see all this cool art and stuff, and that interaction I think is going to go a long way. And I think, like, although the campaign, I guess when viewers are watching this, is it's ending Friday at 11 p.m. CT, but again, this will be continue to be sold both on their store as well as like all of the conventions that they attend. So
man, if you did come to the one in Orlando, like, got to give us all a heads up. The theme parks are here. You know, even if you don't want to do theme park stuff, there's meetups that happen all over during MegaCon. So There's big ones that happen at like I will fill you in. I'll be like, make sure you're here on this day and make sure you're over here. Like we'll take good care of you.
Honestly,
it'll be
fun.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, Florida's always fun. So it'll be actually nice to have.
Yeah, what is it with you Canadians liking to come to Florida? What of all states?
I think it's just because, man, honestly, like, yeah, right. I think it's because we have 3 months of okay weather, and it's like it's okay because it'll be super hot and humid, and then mosquitoes, and then it's like cold and slushy. So I think we have a lot of snowbirds here that spend half the year.
Trust me, we know.
Yeah,
we know. We see you guys. It's like the
Right?
snowbirds are coming. Make
Right?
sure you get to your restaurants early because they get there even earlier.
Right.
On all that. But that's a whole nother topic. We'll tease you about it later. But I want to show the teaser trailer of Deathshroud. And so if people are like, what the heck, Jay? Who are you talking to? What is this all about? And we'll get into a little breakdowns of who this is, this character, this story. I'm just going to let Chad run with it. I'll try not to interrupt you, but I always do. But let's watch the teaser trailer.
My story should have ended on that mission. But somehow, I survived. Turned into some creature from my nightmares. The world I once knew is lost. My very existence is a threat to a cosmic order I didn't know existed. If heaven and hell want me dead, I won't go quietly.
Baby.
Those are the covers, the shirt, the poster.
So
get them all.
Yeah. So well, hopefully the audience can actually hear that trailer over my annoying computer that sounds like it's going to take off to the moon. But so apologies for that. But yeah, that trailer, I was really happy with it, with how it turned out. I actually was originally going to do the voice myself. And I had a really cool, like, I had all these effects and I kind of tried to sound very similar to actually what you hear in the trailer, but there was some issues with some of the audio and there was like cracks and stuff. So we ended up, they ended up sourcing someone else, but it was my take was very close to that because of what, with all the effects, I got it close to sounding like a dark side type of a character. But yeah, the Rippaverse team put that together and they did an awesome job. And it's so important to have like a cool, flashy trailer when you launch one of these campaigns. But I guess for the audience, and kind of going off of the trailer, I'll dive a little bit into what is Deathshroud.
Can you start from the beginning though? Like,
yeah.
Did you just sit around one day at the pool or something, and all of a sudden you're like, I've got this idea?
Yeah. Well, okay.
So comic. Obviously, you're a comic book fan, and
I collected. Yeah. So I was collecting original comic book art for a long time. I think I started collecting it in 2016, 2017, something like that. And then the new Venom series launched with Ryan Stegman, and I was like super excited with that. Like, I'm a huge Venom fan. And I was totally inspired by that of like, man, I want to do this. And I, coming from the esports space, I love stories and wanted to have like my opportunity to kind of create something that, fans could be passionate about. And video games are just, it's like $500 million that you would need. And that's it's just like, I don't have $500 million laying around. So
what do you mean? You're from
right?
Canada.
Sell some more
growing
maple
trees
syrup
over there.
Right.
No,
yeah.
I understand.
And so I was like, okay, well, what could I do that would, that could potentially turn into something that has roots to, it could have spin-offs, it could turn into animation. I was like, well, what the hell? Why don't I take a stab at creating my own comic book? So I wrote the idea. I was actually on vacation at the time, and I was just kind of creating rough ideas and draft. And I wrote a lot of the first script actually on the plane on the way home. And then I put together like a little pitch deck of idea of it. And then I commissioned some initial kind of really shitty designs, but at least could give a starting point to an artist.
Yeah.
And then I shopped it around. So I was like, one of the people that I first reached out to was Brett Booth. And he respectfully declined. He's like, who the hell is this? Who the hell is this? Right. Nobody. Like, why would I?
You never know.
And but here, well, actually, Booth did a cover for me. Both. He did one for this campaign, and he did one for my Indiegogo. And actually, Booth, I will say this: out of all of the various talent that I have had the pleasure of working with, or reaching out to, or being in contact with, Booth is one of the few who would always go above and beyond, and was like totally welcoming as well. Because like sometimes talent can be standoffish, or there would be like, you're not worthy yet, young Padawan. And so he was like right from the get-go of like, yeah, sure. And his rates, everything was, he was being friendly and helpful.
Awesome to hear.
Yeah, honestly. And I have to shout out, if I'm telling that story, I have to shout out John Livesay. So John Livesay, who's a great inker, who's been around the industry for a long time, who's actually inking some of Ryan Stegman right now on X-Men. He made that email intro for me for Brett.
Oh, nice.
And that's someone who also deserves, like, he's always been like when he can, like, making intros or giving me contacts that like, hey, like, here's the senior person at this publisher, like, reach out to them. So he's been huge. So yeah, shout out to John Livesay. And then so then I shopped around different artists. I ended up landing initially on Keenan White, who's a fantastic artist, and he's
I don't know who that is. Like,
right? Yeah, he's a little bit talented, a little bit. He's almost there.
That name rings a bell, but no, he's awesome. He's freaking awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best, and I just caught him at a good time, and so he's like one of the advantages that I have fans of, like how do you get someone like Keenan White or any of these artists? The advantage that I had is I had some capital that I could deploy up front. So, it puts money where your mouth is, right? Because I'm very serious about this, and if fans only knew, like, I put a lot of money into this project, and that's super important, because a lot of these type of projects, especially because I initially launched it on Indiegogo, they're relying on, I'm going to pay you when I can. And then there's like disputes. And so I did this very professional. I had a lawyer from the get-go. We structured everything properly, contracts. My company owns the IP, and everything's done as it should be. And so therefore that gives a level of confidence as well when I'm talking to artists of like, listen, I already, like, the money's already set aside. You're guaranteed to get paid. Is this something that you want to commit the next year of your life to? And so anyways, Canon took that up, and we he did the first chapter, so 28 pages. We launched that on Indiegogo initially. We had some relative success there, so we did like maybe 30 to 40,000 US, something in that range, like 600 backers. Nothing crazy, but again, like, it's a start. I don't have a fan, like, I'm a nobody. Like, I don't have all of these like, I don't have a fan base, right? And coming from esports, there's not a lot of cross-pollination there, but still we did not bad. And then I got canceled 2 weeks into launching that. We can talk about that a little bit later, but I got just to kind of summarize that, I got canceled 2 weeks into that, so that affected ultimately my ability to properly market that as well, right? And then that got me blacklisted from a lot of the publishers. So then I kind of took a break and was like, okay, screw it. I'm going to launch my own. I'm going to try to do my own thing, like with Dream Key Studios, and launch kind of something like what Eric was doing. But
do your own thing, man. Be independent.
Yeah, and then I found out from VCs, because I have raised a lot of capital in the past for my gaming esports ventures, but I found out from VCs that they weren't interested into investing into a traditional like print company, and especially as like I don't have any traction. It's not like I'm an Eric July type of individual or an influencer who, it's like come back to us with how you can kind of disrupt that industry with like a tech play. And we can talk about that a bit later too, because I know that's something that you want to talk about, but I have some really cool ideas there, and still kind of putzing around on that. And then I came back to Indiegogo, launched a couple, 1 or 2 campaigns. There was some drama there. I won't get into that, but didn't find success. And I was like, okay, I just need to wait this out in terms of either get lucky with a publisher, maybe staff, there's layoffs, or there's like a new staff hires, and I can reapproach some of these guys and give Deathshroud another chance to get pitched. And then Eric July launched Ripascend. And so just so fans know, like this didn't happen overnight. Like this took a year of back and forth, and plus like it hadn't even launched yet. So like there was a lot of time that went into eventually it finally launching on
but that's some of the business side of getting your product out to the masses, just so they could see something that you believe in. And then there's also the creative side. But as far as like the business side is a whole nother it's headaches, right? Yeah. It's a whole nother set of problems and headaches, especially. And I always love to hear I always love to hear both sides, creative and the business, because I think they're separate, but you need both if you want something that you made to be successful, So
and you need something like going back to Ripascend, like I fulfilled all my Indiegogos. I fulfilled all of that myself, and packing, and shipping, and it was a nightmare, but also a nightmare because you're not a company where you're processing hundreds of thousands of units where you can get special discounted prices. Like you have this very kind of niche order, and so you're getting high premium rates. And then I'm from Canada, so the shipping is extra stupid.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And it was just like, this is unless I'm a bigger influencer and can drive greater reach, I'm just like, this is a nightmare. So something like what Eric is doing, I think, is amazing, and I really do think that it has the potential to be, one of the main pillars in the industry, like an Image Comics or something. I really do believe that, and I was saying to you before we started, but like if you look at companies, and this is no shade towards them, I'm just saying like companies like AWA Studios who have raised massive amounts of capital, they're not in the conversation. Like Eric is dominating the conversation, and then I think with the expansion of Ripascend, you're going to see a lot of really cool IP that would never have seen, kind of like an A24. Like you're going to see a lot of cool stuff that would never have had the chance, like Deathshroud, make it. And so I'm super excited to see that division and wing of his company continue to thrive and expand.
It's going to be interesting who's gonna, I wish I knew, like he keeps saying that he's got big plans coming and other people about to hop on board. I honestly had no idea, someone like Nerdrotics was going to use that service, things like that, until you saw the announcement, So I wonder who else he's got up his sleeve that, that's going to use that. I've been very happy with it, and
you got to convince Gina.
Yeah.
Gina. I think if she did a comic book, man, she would kill it.
Maybe she should, right? She should do something.
Honestly, she should do something cool. I know she was like, I know she's doing movies and stuff now, back with or shows or whatever she's going to be doing here soon. But and I thought she had tweeted at some point something about she was looking to create something her own, or take on some of those own initiatives. So I'm like, what better way of like she could create her own universe, get it out there through Ripus End, and then try to shop it around to maybe get a show or something too. Like, I don't know.
You never know with her, that's for sure.
So
and I also know that I can't say anything because then people will take it and like it'll be
right.
It'll be some kind of headline or something. It's
Right.
like, oh boy, Jay,
Right.
you got to learn not to speak.
That's
on
my
these.
bad. My bad.
No, it's okay. I know I'm like, anytime my name comes up, usually Gina's name comes up too. It's like when she, the lawsuit with Disney is over. So there was a settlement and she was happy with it immediately. My email, my DMs, everybody was like, what did she get? Can you get her on my show and everything? I'm like, hey man, I don't know anything. I don't ask. So it's like, I just hope she's happy with the whole thing, when it's all said and done. And as long as she's happy, I'm happy. If she found closure in it, then good for her. I didn't live through it. I'm not her. So some people were happy, some people were not. And that's just how it's going to be. That's just life, right? Just like when people buy your book, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate
trash it.
And it's just like, that's just life when you put something out there. Mm-hmm. But going from the business aspect to the creative.
Talk a little bit about the fun stuff now.
Well, it's like, how do you work? I find it interesting that you said you wrote a lot of it while you were on a plane, because and some of like, I read a lot of like books and articles of people that deal with time management. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, this one guy was like, he was saying that men are more productive when they're on an airplane, that they can focus on one thing when they're on. I remember reading that, and like since last year, I spent half my year on an airplane. I went back, I go back and I'm like, man, it's so true, because you're just sitting there. You don't have all the distractions. There's really nothing, unless you want to watch a movie you've seen like 100 times over, even if they have that. It's like, if you focus on one thing, it probably will have your focus the entire time you're on a plane.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that you said that, because it reminded me of that, like how much work we could actually get done when the distractions of everything that are around us, like, people ain't going to call you, like, when you're on a plane, no one's going to like run into your room when you're on a plane. So it's like,
yeah. Well,
I have the process go for, like, how did that work for Chad? Cause everybody's different.
Yeah. I think, well, one, I have definitely a bit of an obsessive personality. Like, I think, it's probably a common trait with, and this sounds so lame, so I understand that, but it's probably a common trait with a lot of like entrepreneurs of, you have to have like an obsessive, you'll get into zones when you're super passionate about something, and you'll just,
there's no time.
Yeah. And it's just
it just fades away because that's all you focus on. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I had like a pretty clear initial structure of what I wanted to do. So the first draft was obviously that I banged out was it was a rough draft. I knew as well going into it that I wanted to create something that was like high action, low panel counts, understanding that we live in a time where people have short attention spans, and coming from the gaming industry, I wanted to make something that, hits those dopamine hits. So the initial draft that I had, I then had feedback on it from, like, I have a movie director friend named Matt Ninenbar, who's awesome. And he was actually the one who had told me when he read through it, he's like, you wrote this very linear. He's like, Deathshroud is an awesome looking character. People are buying this initially because of how cool this looks. Instead of it taking so long to get to Deathshroud, he's like, splice it so that you start with it becoming Deathshroud, then you quickly break away and then go back to the future. So that was like a really good piece of advice. And then and at the time too, that made me reflect on Batman, the Bane, the third movie in Christopher Nolan's trilogy. And a lot of fans at the time were disappointed with that film because it was like, it took so long to finally see Batman. And that was something that at least stuck with me. And I was like, okay, like that is right. Like, let's get to like, what is this? Let's get to that right away. And then once I had like, knew that I was jumping into this with 2 feet. So like initially I was like, let's just put this out there and then see. And then I was so, let's just say, proud of what I did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot for the fences here. And I put a ton of capital into this, and then I properly built out this massive long story arc. And I don't have a background in writing or anything, so I literally leaned on like project management tools. So it's literally, I built out, the critical path to get to the end of the story,
Sure.
and mapped out all of the key milestones to get to the end. And then I created this basically like a blueprint for myself. So I knew that, each chapter I have to account for at least 2 fight scenes. I want, X amount of double spreads, X amount of splash pages. And once you kind of have that skeleton, that makes it a little bit easier to then actually sit down and start writing, especially when you have, what you're writing to, right? Like you've already problem solved all of the key milestones to get to the end. And that was like something that was super important to me, whether or not I ever even got there, but it was super important to always have a North Star, to know where I'm marching to, because too many times in Hollywood, you see a movie like, let's say, like the Star Wars. Like I used to be the biggest Star Wars fan. Disney has destroyed Star Wars for me. Like honestly, they have. And I guess you'd call them the sequel, the ones with Rey, the sequels,
trilogy.
The sequel trilogy. That felt like we were just making shit up as we're going, and we don't know where we're going. And I'm pretty sure there's a quote somewhere that is from JJ where he's like, what made it really hard is not knowing where we were going. And I'm like, what the fuck? How do you have a multi-billion-dollar property and not have this crystal clear where the hell you're going?
You're absolutely correct. He did say that. The biggest problem was that they, especially for the third film, they were just writing it on the fly and trying to edit it.
Look at Avengers.
Yeah. And it's just like,
oh my God.
Just, it just looks like it looks like they all just came from Endgame and put it in that film, because it was like a lot of similarities. It's like, hey, we're on your left, Lando comes in with everybody, and it's just like Poe is about to give up, and then I'm on your left. Same thing as Endgame for Marvel. And all that stuff like that. There's so many similarities. That last big scene where they must have all went to the movies and went, oh, okay, let's just do something like that and just call it a day.
It was so sad, and it was it was devastating. So I wanted to make sure that that I have complete control, that I'm like, okay, this is properly mapped out, and this isn't going to be one of those things where it's and then, so that it was properly a proper story. So that was something that I'm pretty proud of. And then I knew, because I'm a nobody, I had to surround myself with top talent. So then I reached out to V. Ken Marion, who's done works on like, he's a DC veteran, but done works on literally Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Green Lantern. He's actually still on Green Lantern right now. So he's currently writing Green Lantern. And his art style was really important to me, because again, I'm trying to capture the Greg Capullo, the Top Cow, Mark Silvestri high rendering style of artist, and VCan can do that. So his art style, it would be similar to someone like a Michael Turner, if people know who he is. So he definitely kind of is inspired by that type of art style, and so he did a beautiful job. So Ken took over after Kanan for chapter 2. So Ken does chapters 2 through 7. And the graphic novel that we have, it's 192 pages, but of story, it's 172. And then there's like chapter break pages, appendix, and all that other stuff that brings it to 192. But so it's 172 pages of story, high octane action. Again, this is coming from somebody who my background was like Halo. So Halo, Call of Duty, this is going to be a lot of nonstop action, which is fun, so that you're never kind of, dragged
just
in.
waiting for it to happen, right?
Yeah. It's like you're constantly engaged. So that was something that was really important. And then from the character designs, that was something that we took a long time with. So I worked before we even started doing any interior work. I had a whole separate contract with Kanan just to focus on character designs, and we could take our time. There was no rush, and I wanted to get them right. And I came in with a bunch of references, and then worked with Kanan. We went back and forth to create. Obviously, I'm biased, but some really stellar.
Be biased, man. That's your
Yeah,
stuff. You need to be biased, right? You need to be biased.
Yeah, I think
the overall story. How long did that take you to write and like vision? So all right. So what I'm asking is, everybody has a different writing or creative style. Some people like to start with an outline. Some people start with like sketch boxes, like storyboard types. Some people start with the ending. It's like, how are we going to get here? Some people just start with a character. I mean, it's just, I hear so many different things like it, and some people, they've got to go to like a park away from the world. They've got to turn their phone off. They got to go here. They can't be in front of this. They have to, it's unique. And then there's some people that could just wake up and just, they have such talent. They could just, all right, this the bestseller, it's like, I'm done. I did it when I had coffee and crumpets, in the morning. It's just kind of, it's just so unique, people's creative style. So with this first story that you like, how did you put that together?
In terms of like the one with Kanan or the
yes, correct, that one, the one with Kanan.
Yeah. So going back, honestly, so I had the idea when I was on vacation. I wrote a rough draft inside of like 4 hours on the plane, and then like waiting around.
Now, I'm breaking it down again. When you mean rough draft, you talking an outline, or do you write like the novel?
So I write the dialogue and actually what's happening, and
Gotcha. So like a storyboard almost type.
Yeah, and really high level. Like, I'm not going into detail in terms of describing the panel. I'm just the story is coming to me quickly, and I need to just get this out, knowing that not all of it's going to be good, but I'm like, I need to document all of these ideas, and I'm in a zone right now. Let's just bash this out. And then I can, sleep on it a couple of days, come back to it and be like, okay, this is shit. This is shit. This means that. But so the initial really rough draft, I banged out literally in like a day. And then it probably took me maybe a month of massaging that, of going back and forth, getting some feedback. And then I literally started with Kanan in like December or January, and then the book came out on Indiegogo in April. Not like we didn't ship in April, but we launched the Indiegogo in April. So that was kind of the timelines. Like, I went in vacation in like November or December, wrote it, went back and forth for about a month, then got Kanan. We did, maybe a month or 2 months in character designs, and then he started doing interior work. So it was pretty quick. And again, it's not going to work out like that for a lot of people. I had advantages. The advantages being, at that time, I don't even want to know how much money I've spent on an original comic art.
It's, if you love it.
Yeah. And so so that opened doors, right? So it's kind of like a Todd McFarlane effect, in terms of like, if you remember the story with Todd McFarlane, where he said he couldn't get into making sports toys. And so he spent millions of dollars on those, $3 million on those signed baseballs or whatever it was, something like that.
Yeah.
And that was like, or at least that's the story he tells. And that was his ticket to get in. And I think for me, a little bit indirectly, buying all of that art, and over years, it opened doors to some of these top talent and allowed me to be able to, have conversations, and I was able to meet them at Comic-Cons and shake their hand and like go for a drink with them and establish a relationship. So there was,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there was a bit of, like Ryan's statement, as a nobody, you're not going to be able to get somebody like, this is what people, I'll tell this story. So there's one artist that I would friggin' love to do a cover. His name's Greg Capullo. I've offered, there's no money that I can offer that guy to do a cover. So my point of telling that story is, some of these top artists, it's not about just money. It's about like, are you do I view you as worthy enough? Or, you know, do I want to associate my brand with you? Do I even like, you know, the character? So, you know, Ryan Stegman was I was pretty blessed to be able to have him contribute. And again, I love Venom, and it's probably my favorite comic book run that him and Cates did. So having, like, I think it's right behind me, actually, that's a Venom homage that he did for one of my Indiegogo covers of the Venom 1 homage that with Deathshroud. So he did a ton of, like, 7 covers that I have from him, and he did character designs on the series as well. Cause I didn't want just him to do covers. I wanted him to have, like, you know, an actual fingerprint on the series as well. So I got him to do character designs, which was really cool. And as a fanboy, that was kind of like a dream come true. So he did like a big demon. He did Deathshroud's best friend, and then he did Deathshroud's fiance, who's super gorgeous. So he created some really important characters of the series, and I'm excited. Like, again, I'm super excited for everyone to dive in with what we have, and I think I'm biased, but I think that this,
man.
Yeah. Honestly, I do. I think, like, in this genre of this kind of supernatural, Darksiders, Diablo, Spawn, I think this stands with these products, and the talent that we have on the book in terms of the artwork is that of what you would get from a AAA like Marvel or DC event book. Like, it looks like Vken's artwork is incredible, and that's what you get. And the covers are all famous artists. Like, we got Brett Booth, we got Ryan Stegman, Vken did a cover, and then Victor Bogdanovic. He's a DC artist. He did a bunch of Batman detective comic works. He's heavily influenced by Greg Capullo. His cover's actually right behind me right there. Very much like Greg Capullo. I'll give a shout out to him as well, because he was someone who's been a big supporter. He was, like, super easy to work with, and gave some shout outs, and he thought Deathshroud and the whole universe was really cool. So it's always nice
you got to get a statue, you got to replace that statue
Venom
with the Deathshroud statue,
Yeah, that's what hope. Well, listen, we got I got big plans for the series. Like I said, right now we got for what's for sale right now is part 1. Part 2 is already written, so all of that script is already done. Part 2, as it stands right now, would be
I'm going to pull up part 1 real quick. There we go.
Mm-hmm. So we got 192 pages for the part 1 graphic novel. Part 2.
This is 192.
Yeah, 192 pages, with an asterisk, 172 pages of story. For those of you who did back the original Indiegogo, this has 96 pages of new story, so it's definitely worth picking up.
Nice.
So that was something that was also super important, and which is why I wanted it to be so beefy too, because I sympathize for, hey, I really appreciate the fans who supported on Indiegogo. If you pick it up this time, you're going to get like 96 pages. That's an insane amount of story, of new story.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I think people are going to be really excited, as you can see in the kind of the artwork that you're showcasing there. Vken's artwork is awesome. And part 2, like I said, the writing's already done, and I'm building out side characters that will bend back into the main storyline. So another character that I already have the script done, and we have character designs already completed. It's called Shadow Slayer. So he's another Nephilim. And the idea is that I'll slowly continue to introduce other Nephilim, and Deathshroud.
Who I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, Shadow Slayer.
Who is Deathshroud? Who is this? What is this?
I haven't even said. Okay, that's totally bad on my part, Jay.
No, it's me. I'm the interviewer. I'm like,
I
love hearing the business talk. I love hearing the creative, and now it's like, who is the character, and why does it matter? Yeah.
Let me
Shroud.
Yeah, let's talk.
Who's John?
I'll do the synopsis. So John Azrael, he's a second lieutenant who, during a stealth Black Ops mission, it goes sideways. He should have died. His entire squad dies, but instead of dying, he's transformed into this nightmarish creature. And he soon discovers that he's actually the son of death, as in the archangel of death, and that his very existence is forbidden by the cosmic established order. And he soon gets caught up in this cosmic conspiracy between heaven and hell, where they have ambitions to wipe out and reset mankind. And he's got to come to terms with who he is, his new abilities, and prevent that from happening. Meanwhile, also having to protect, his fiance and his friends from these crazy forces that he's just discovered that are, now a real threat. So it's a cool story. I was partially inspired by, the writing was during the time of COVID. So we have a lovely dictator who recently got ousted. His name was Justin Trudeau.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's definitely a character. So the lead antagonist, the archangel of order, his name is Zuriel, and he is the embodiment of law and order. And his view on mankind is that it's become, wicked beyond repair, and that they're no longer worthy of the paradise that they were gifted. So he's got to go behind God's back, because due to the covenant with mankind to never, commit the great flood and the genocide, he goes behind God's back to work with Lucifer to construct what I'm calling a soul blight engine that's going to wipe out and reset mankind. And so that's my ticking time bomb. So Deathshroud's got to come to save the day before that ignites. And
so is it how? That's such a weird question, but so just for me personally, I love religious type stories.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I just, everything has some type of religion based, I guess, because I hear you're talking about the devil, the angel of death, all that stuff. Is it heavily laced with that kind of stuff, or are they just characters in the story? Not maybe heavily laced is not the wrong question, but how much do you lean into like the four horsemen of death, like Revelations, Apocalypse, and all that stuff?
Well, I
just
will
think that stuff is cool. That's all. I like the stories that come out of biblical, I guess you could say biblical characters. Maybe that's the best thing, or that type of stuff.
So it's very loosely, like, I take a lot of liberties here. So I actually blend, which is a little bit of blasphemy, but I blend it is a little bit. I take Christianity, and I take a little bit of Greek mythology. I mix them up a little bit. It's like if you're a fan of Diablo, or like Darksiders, like I take established themes, and then I do my own spin, and I do my own kind of fictional universe based on that. That said, I will spoil this because I did spoil this before. The chapter 3s would be introducing the four horsemen, and that's something that I'm super excited about. I think they're one of my favorite entities, being stories. I just think they're so cool, and I'm really excited to kind of bring those to life. And because of how powerful the four horsemen will be, going back to what I had said previously about introducing other Nephilim, it will require Deathshroud to team up with these other Nephilim in order to take on the four horsemen. So those are the four horsemen is, in my story, is the seven seals are destroyed by Lucifer to bring upon kind of this Armageddon, and Deathshroud's once again got to stop it.
Who do you fight after the four horsemen?
I know.
It's like we're gonna have to like create some kind of beast with three heads, to come out,
right?
To go into the next one. Oh, dude, I love that stuff.
And I think like what was really interesting too is like, out of all the things I could have.
Do you have a cat?
Yeah, I do. Sorry for that.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah, I do. He's
I was like, Are you kicking the cat under the table?
No, he's super talkative, and he just howls, and apologies for that. But I think it was interesting because my dad was a pastor, and ultimately I think that played because I could have written anything, and at the end of the day, this was what I was drawn to and what I ended up creating. And I think it's undeniable that upbringing played a role that I
of
would
course
to this. So yeah,
of course,
and especially with like everything that's been going on since COVID. Like I told you this when we had met, but like I kind of found a recalling to my faith, and that was strictly just because of the amount of evil that I was witnessing. And I do kind of feel like it's the amount of evil that is out there right now is really sickening. So that was like, okay, if there's this, if there's that much evil, because that evil is real, there is good, and there must be good. So
no, and like that's the thing. It's like the stories of the older stories that that, like you said, how Star Wars was destroyed and things like that. It's like, you go back, like we'll just take Star Wars as an example. You take the character of Luke Skywalker in the original series, wonderful written character. He'll sacrifice himself for his friends. Went against Yoda's like, you got to stay here and train, but he's like, no, my friends are going to suffer because of me. I'm not going to let that happen. Let me be the good guy here. There's good in my dad. I could save him. I know I can. All you guys are just like trying to do everything by the numbers, but it's like those type of like redemption stories that it didn't really push political agendas. It was more like building a character and seeing a farm boy turn into the savior of the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And his trials, and then the emotional damage that he has to go through, how his friends suffer because of him. He didn't want that to happen. He realized his father is the worst man in the world. It's like all that stuff, but it leads to an amazing story. I mean, you could take a movie like The Matrix, and kind of the same thing, like this story of Neo and how, at the end of the day, sacrifices himself for the greater good, to movies today, which is the only reason why the sequel trilogy, in my opinion, was made, was to undo everything and say, hey, Rey Skywalker's the best. Look at her. She's the best. So make sure you follow her. She's the best. Story sucks, but she's still the best. She's the one who beat the Emperor. She had no arc, no story, no nothing. They ripped down Luke Skywalker to build her up. That's a cheap, quick way to kind of, I guess, get your character in the front.
Do you think that was intentional? Like what they did 100%. With Luke? Like that was
100%.
It felt like a purposeful middle finger to the legacy fans.
100%.
And it felt malicious. I'm like, there is no way that an authentic fan writer for this series would sit down and write that for Luke Skywalker. I'm like, I have my conspiracy theories. This is based on nothing. It's just, I'm crazy, but is like, if you look at the timing in which all of our favorite IPs across the board had this injection of this crazy woke identity, social politics, just so happened to be ramping up at the same time as like the greatest hoax ever with COVID and the greatest transfer of wealth. And like, what better to keep the population distracted by, taking all of their favorite, the Coliseum and getting them distracted by this shit and getting them in a frenzy over that. And, again, based on nothing.
I don't know if that's much of a conspiracy than is the truth, but
because I just feel like I'm like that. It feels intentional, as well as I also understand from the business side, like with Obama in 2012 with setting up the ESG, and I get all of that as well. But I'm just saying, like, the timing is also super suspicious that it ramped up like right in time for COVID. I don't know, man.
The thing, what is a lot of activists took over our studios, and like. Going to Lucasfilm, you have Kathleen Kennedy, who took a boy brand and wanted to make it a girl brand. And it's not a girl brand. Star Wars is a boy brand. And she tried to change everything in Lucasfilm. And I share this with people all the time, like in 2023. Talk about the worst thing ever. Lucasfilm, they own the property of Indiana Jones and Willow. They made a Willow series that came out on Disney Plus. Worst thing ever. They tried to make the Willow series a push, LGBTQ stuff and non-binary and all. They threw all that stuff in there. The series was so bad that they took it off Disney Plus. Imagine making a series that could be on your streaming service forever. And they got to the point where it's like, this is terrible. Like, let's just quietly take it off. Indiana Jones comes out the same year. They tried to push girl boss Indiana Jones and made Indiana Jones, who is my favorite cinematic character of all time, made him a drunk, bitter, sad, pathetic. Everybody left him. Nobody cares about him. Old man, which has been taken over by this character, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who
it wasn't earned. Like what it was, that wasn't earned. Like she did.
No, exactly. So it's like you have this lady in charge of Lucasfilm who put a woman in charge of same thing with Willow, was put a woman in charge, girl boss in charge of every IP that Lucasfilm has, and it just failed tremendously. And they still think that they did a good. They keep pushing and pushing to the point where now that we had an article that just came out from Variety, I believe it was Variety, that says Disney's looking to bring back young men, and they're looking for an IP to do it. And you're like, you have Marvel, you have Star Wars, there's your young men IPs. Like, stop trying to force it into something that it's not, and make it and keep going what it is. But they have people in charge of it that don't know what they're doing, and want to push some weird agendas. The big fall, like the crazy thing about Star Wars, like they pushed this series, which you probably never heard of, called the High Republic.
No.
And it was their comic book series that was a huge, all these activists wrote for it. These were people that were like, their Twitter was like, I hate white people. Their Twitter was like anti-Trump. Their Twitters, all their social media was just like, if you don't like it, don't buy it, whatever. And that's where they pushed all sexuality characters. Like, who gives a crap? Like, that is what you're writing this character on. Well, this character is an asexual, and you're going to see that in the writing. And this character is a lesbian. You're going to see that. It's like, it's freaking Star Wars. Nobody cares about that crap. Like, but they did that, and they released the book numbers after phase 2. And I share this all the time. This is insane. So the first book comes out, sells 120,000 books. Wow, that's cool. Second one comes out, 32,000. And it gets to the point where some of their books barely sold 2,000. And I think your cat just wrecked your house.
It did. That's really funny. Did you hear that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I felt like
knocked a bunch of glasses, and oh my god.
You need to go pick that up.
No, I'm good.
But what I'm saying is, it got to the point where you're selling more books than a Star Wars book, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
To think that independent people, you call yourself a nobody this show. I don't think you're a nobody, but I get your point of reference of what you were trying to say, going to people that are like these artists that have been in the business that you're not in. And I see myself as that as well. But it's like, we're at the point now where we're selling more books than certain Star Wars books. And I never thought I'd ever see the day, that you could sell 1,000 books and sell more than it was like a young adult style book that Star Wars released. There was a time where you slapped the Star Wars name and thousands, man, like everybody would buy it. Everybody would buy it. Those days are gone. So, and
again, it seems like I always trace it back to, so one of the publishers who passed on Deathshroud, it was like one of the major publishers, and it was clearly because of the controversy of like Canon White at the time, as well as like this whisper network of kind of activist editors who blacklisted me. But the feedback was just like, this book looks gorgeous, this is really great, but we just feel like it's too controversial for today's climate. And in parallel, they launched a book about 2 lesbian chefs, and I'm just like, okay, I like, who is buying that? And I think
nobody.
Yeah, I think that those type of initiatives, they were getting grants from the government. I told this story on one of the other podcasts that I was on, but long story short, in Canada, there's a all sorts of different entertainment grants that you can get. And one of the grants that I actually had applied for myself was an export ready grant. So you had to have an entertainment product that was ready to ship, finished, and sell internationally. And of the total grant allocation for like entire Canada of the specific grant, 50% of that grant was set aside for LGBTQ initiatives. In addition, it had a long checkbox of like, you needed this much diversity, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So I'm like, so what's happening is it creates disingenuous, and like people are gaming the system. They're like, I'm just going to create some shitty product. I'm going to get this big government grant. We're going to pay ourselves well. And I don't care about the quality of product that I'm putting out. And we'll put as much, social identity politics and get all your checkbox. So I think if you do trace it back, a lot of these projects they're getting some type of government grant or some type of subsidy or something. And that was really eye-opening to me of like, are you kidding me? Like 50% is allocated to that. I'm like, that is such an over-representation of that community in real life. Like it's nonsense. So
not to push your conspiracy theories, but yes, there are very wealthy people in the name of their wanting to control the world.
Yeah.
Wanted to push these weird ideologies all over the world. We had a thing in America, I don't know if you heard, like called USAID.
Yes,
and
I saw that on Joe Rogan.
And they were listing some of the stuff they were spending millions of dollars on to push this propaganda stuff in books and television shows and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, that's why they're trying to push this stuff, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to control and what you should believe is real and what is what people really. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's beyond me.
And
it's beyond me. And so that's what actually, a lot of that is what sparked the Achromatic Chronicles series. Even though it's people call it a kid's book, it is what it is. To write something and to have something for third, fourth, fifth graders that didn't have any politics in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's who it's geared for.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have children, niece, nephews, like, and we got a lot of books sold that it's not even on the counter that went to schools and stuff where some of these teachers that were just like, I want good stuff in our classroom that doesn't have any of that nonsense in it, because we were starting to see, like you said, when everything was being locked down and everything, all that stuff was happening, they were pushing these books in America to like first and second grade, where it's like, we're going to teach kids in the first grade that they have multiple genders. And it's like, what? Teach them math, like teach them how to write. It's like, what are y'all doing? So like that kind of sparked the idea of this simple series where the Achromatic Chronicles series, and where it's like, I'd love for people to have something that they don't have to worry about any political agenda.
That's
but
great.
What all that did, when I think, like you said, for your like being shut down by certain companies and stuff, what I think that does is spark people to push more on the independent sphere. And whoever's listening, if you made it to this point, you should know that there's never been a better time to create something, because everything is right there for you. There are so many free tools out there for you to sell your product, to find people to help you create your product, to help people that can help you edit your product if you're writing a book or things like that. There's so many things out there that people probably didn't have like 20 years ago.
You have the full, like you have the means to market yourself through YouTube and social media and create that brand. And then you have crowdfunding platforms. And then even outside of that, you have now with like Eric July's Rippasend. So there's so many tools now that can set you up for success. It's not easy. You're going to have to put in the work. It's definitely, still a challenge, but all of the tools are there that should you take up the challenge, you can be successful. And I think I point to Deathshroud regardless of the haters. Deathshroud is, awesome looking product. I don't have a big following. Like I don't have a following. I don't have a following in comics. So
before you continue, how important do you think that is to build first? Like if you were gonna start over, like if you got to step into your time machine and go back 5-6 years before you started this journey, do you think it would be more beneficial to start a social media,
yeah,
or at
absolutely.
least
It's
start
so
it back
important.
there and just at least start to build something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the most important thing that you could do is build your own personal brand, and this doesn't just go for entertainment purposes. This goes even for the workforce. So we don't live in a world anymore where you're going to work at the GM plant for 25 years and retire with a pension. That doesn't exist. You live in a shitty environment where you will own nothing and be happy, and the best that you can get out of a corporation is 2 years, and the only way you'll get a raise is you have to leave that corporation to go to another corporation. So the only thing that you now have is your portfolio, your brand. And you don't just have to be an influencer in terms of like for entertainment. I'm talking even in like the business world, like your projects, building, that is what's going to keep getting you jobs, keep setting you up for success. So going back to, as it relates to especially selling entertainment, you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't have the reach, no one's going to know about your product and you're not going to sell it. And ultimately you have to sell enough product so that you can keep doing it. And it's like basic 101, but building your brand is the most important. So I wish like I had a long tenure in esports where I focused on building other people's brands, and I kicked myself on not spending more time building my own personal brand. Like I was working with some of the most famous, esport players in the world. So I started on this topic. I did start like now. I'm going to start interviewing. I'm going to reach out to all of my, contacts in the gaming world and start interviewing all these interesting pro gamers and just start that journey because, I think that it's super important, and especially as I continue to build on Deathshroud, building kind of that network and being able to have that authentic relationship with your fans is going to be critical to be successful.
What's interesting is, speaking on social media building, there was it's me being on YouTube for 7 years now, and being very blessed to have several monetized channels. And because I never went on YouTube to be like, I'm going to get 100,000, because I never thought that would happen. This is on the podcast channel. I'm trying to keep all my crazy ideas separated. That's why I have way too many channels, but I've seen like, I think YouTube was always going to be up there, but I see people building their brand now. They're pushing it heavier on Instagram. This is just what I've seen. I could be wrong. Instagram being one, and then TikTok being the second one, because creating those shorts can really, if you just get one that goes lucky, you have 1,000 followers overnight.
Wow. I got to do that.
Yeah,
I got to do that.
It's I always told people, like, because now YouTube is like really pushing shorts. It's all about shorts. They don't like, if you've been on YouTube long enough to accumulate a nice following that will watch your long form videos, and if you're very trendy, then yeah, they'll get a lot of traction. But if not, the only ones that, from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, it's like the shorts and the TikToks. You make one, you could put it on 3 platforms. You could put it on Twitter or X, you could put it on Instagram, you could put it on TikTok, you put it on YouTube. So if you're going to make a short, you might as well dump it on all 4 platforms, because sometimes something hits big here and then it'll miss there, but you're still building up your brand. And I've talked to people who have done all the social medias, and it's like, well, Instagram is hitting for me, anything I do. So they focus on Instagram and they make a living on it, because what people don't realize, you can get monetized on Instagram and they'll pay you to post reels, just like on YouTube. I've talked to people that have done all, and Facebook hits for them because of their niche, you know?
Right.
Like, so I have the History of Pirates channel. The History of Pirates is his own thing, and we just talk pirate history, pirate lore, fictional pirates, things like that. But I do the same thing. If we make a short, it has an Instagram, it has a Twitter, it has a TikTok, has a Facebook, has a YouTube. For some reason, us old people, they love that Facebook. So that History of Pirates is monetized on Facebook. People don't realize that it's monetized on Facebook. So I upload the video straight to Facebook. It works like YouTube. People pay. They have memberships there, just like YouTube members or a Patreon. They do super chats over there, just like on YouTube and Instagram and everything else. And people don't realize that. They're like, Facebook's for my grandmother. Maybe so. But if you make a video, you might as well dump it on every free thing you can. And if something were to hit, folk lean in a little bit. So we started leaning in on the Facebook aspect for the pirates, and it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, I never thought I'd be like, I make money on Facebook. Now the other stuff, that I dump on there, like the other channel stuff, doesn't really hit the same. But it's all about like you said, building your brand, and you got to see where it works. Some people, they make a fortune off TikTok because here's the other secret. Once you get to 10,000, if you ever get to that lucky number, 10,000 on Instagram, I don't know what it is about that number. I've had 10,000 followers on Instagram, and once I hit that, the world opened up. Brand deals come at me, like all kinds of crazy people email you. They're like, hey, could you wear my hat on your next reel? Hey, I'll pay you so and so amount of money to wear my shirt on the next thing. I've turned a lot of them down because I'm with Nine Line Apparel and they've been so good to me and all that stuff like that. But I talk to other people as well, and they're just like, man, I have a YouTube, but I don't even use it anymore because this is where it's at. Yeah. And then there were people that have been on YouTube for 10 years, and they see their views and their reach on YouTube just starting to go down, but they've morphed it over to Instagram and TikTok, and it's just skyrocketed. And that's where they spend most of their time. They still don't stop making videos, but it's not their focus on what they're trying to promote and how they make money. So all that being said, I know that's a lot. That's a lot.
No, I gotta get on TikTok is what you're saying.
But the thing is, it's like if you make a short or a reel, you might as well take 3 extra minutes of your time and dump it on another platform, because you never know, especially if you're going to sell a product. You never know. You know, you just never know what could go viral. The stupidest things go viral. It's, you know, some of my biggest, like, I have an Instagram reel that has like 400,000 views, and it's literally me with my arms crossed, staring at the Millennium Falcon. And that's it, right? And it's like, why is that so stupid? And then that got me X amount of follow. You know, I've got videos with like celebrities that don't do well. It's like you never know. You just got to constantly put the content out, like you said, to grow your brand, because you just never know what'll hit. Like for you, like, you know, what TikTok could be massive for you. So now you're going to make little clips of your Deathshroud and everything and little interview stuff and just throw it on there. And basically that's like, if you want to see more, head over to the YouTube channel. And it's just always throwing that in there.
I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do the TikTok. Like you said, there's no, especially as I get more and more content, and I'll have more and more of these shorts, and definitely I can even tell already just from the little bit of shorts that I've done on my YouTube channel, how that's organically getting more traction. So I can see that they're pushing that, and then obviously they're copying that on Instagram for those reels. So I gotta get on that. I'll create for the first time ever. I'll create a TikTok.
Well, in my opinion, I would just keep the, like, if you have one, name it the same thing that you're gonna name everything else you're gonna put your content on. If it's your name, make sure it's that. If it's Deathshroud, make sure it's that, or just have 2. And separate it where it's just, one's just Deathshroud stuff only, and then the other one is like, you know, you and your interviews and everything, and the comics and everything. So because like I said, I have a history of pirates, all the pirate clips and everything goes there. And we have one just that's me where I travel and all that stuff. So it's all named the same because people want to find you. And then the biggest thing that people don't have is a link tree. I don't know why people don't have. Do you have a link tree, Chad?
I do have a link tree.
Yeah. Did I tell you that last time?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Finally, I did.
I was like, that's a free thing to keep all your stuff in one click. I mean, that is a beautiful thing. And they have there's other link tree type. I think one is called Beacons. Linktree is free. Everybody, if you got something going on, have a Linktree where your Instagram is there and your TikTok is there and your YouTube is there and whatever you're selling is there and whatever, there's no excuse for that. I'm dropping knowledge on all y'all watch. If you made it this far, an hour in, dropping knowledge on how to grow your brand, at least a little bit. I'm not an expert. I don't have 1 million subs, but you could get somewhere with it, because you just never know. If you're going to take the time to make the content, you might as well dump it everywhere. It only takes a few minutes to put it on other stuff. So, and
it just takes one, and it will never happen if you don't do it. Like at the end of the day, you have to try.
That's how I met Gina. I was nobody. I was making videos defending her when they were trying to cancel her on a YouTube channel that had around 3,000 subscribers. Wow. And she just happened to see my video out of all the others. And there was mega channels making the same videos that had hundreds of thousands of views, but she saw my video. So then she just reached out, and that's how the story goes. And now it's like,
that's such an awesome
like you
story,
said, you never know. You can make a TikTok and one of them hits and some guy's like, I want this as a movie. Contact this guy right now. You just never know.
That's the dream, dude.
You never know. So what is the future as we get ready to wrap up? What is the future for Chad Larsson?
Well, the future is a couple things. So from the Deathshroud perspective, we want to, as soon as this wraps up, pending everything, we want to start production on part 2, which would be it would finish the Forged in Shadows arc. That would then set up, I guess you would say, part 3, which would be a 2-part massive arc featuring the 4 horsemen. In parallel to that, I want to introduce a variety of different Nephilim. So the first Nephilim being Shadow Slayer, he's like a Ninja Gaiden badass type of a character who lives on the opposite side of the planet. He lives in like a made up Hong Kong type of a city. And so introduce all of those slowly. That would be woven into the main Deathshroud storyline. And then keep, the dream from there is the blue sky, right? So could it be ever turned into film or animation, video games, all, the sky's the limits on that. But first, before those can become a reality, you have to prove out the model of, is there a demand? Is there positive fan reception? Does this need to exist? So you got to answer that first. And so that's kind of the first major, milestone that I'm working towards. And then the other thing, as it relates to Dream Key Studios, and we talked about this before, Jay, is
that might be a whole nother podcast. I have to bring you back and do another one.
So I'll do a quick summary of it. So going back to, I had pitched a bunch of VCs on launching a traditional, publisher, and the feedback is, we're not interested in typical print, but come back to us when you have basically a working MVP. For those of listening, MVP means minimum viable product of this, this platform that you want to bring to market, which is, how do you disrupt, a legacy comic book market? And the answer to that is by building comics so that they would be built from the ground up to be digitally native. You would add in gamification layers. And the whole point of adding gamification layers is so that you can expand the addressable market, right? Because we want to get out of just, the traditional comic books. Kids are growing up today with iPhones and iPads in their hand. And we need to make this form of media, this storytelling, to be more in line with other forms of leading forms of narrative content, which is, video games. So, so things like you could trade, there's interactive widgets. You can, the image is like 3D, and it's kind of like motion graphics a little bit. I have a demo that I showed Jay, which is really cool. And
yes,
but so investors like that, but they're like, okay, now make it an actual product. So I priced it out. It's going to cost me several hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. I've actually recently made a little bit of ground on maybe finding some angels that might be interested to help. But ultimately, I believe that whether that's me or somebody else, I believe that is the future direction to expand that market. And I really think that it will require those elements of those gamification layers, the trading, the collectability, all of that economy to crack and to do that secret sauce. Because right now, digital comics is reading a PDF on your phone. That sucks. That's not going to work. Nobody wants that. No one wants to look at 8 panels and have to like zoom in. It's just a shitty experience. It's got to be completely revolutionized. And I think I have the secret sauce to do that. And now, it's one thing to show them, but you have to actually have a working, functional platform, which is, in today's inflation, is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I just got to find the right angel investors that are willing to kind of take on that kind of a niche space and tackle it. But I think that the opportunity is huge. And I think that from a long-term play as well, I think that, whoever cracks it you're going to have some of the big players like Disney or Warner Brothers, or one of the big guys that would probably want to, buy it off of you. And so I think, there's lots of potential exits as well for that.
It's huge potential, especially for the future of like comic book reading.
Yeah. And I think
like that, so.
So I think there's huge potential. And so that's one of the other things that I'm truly passionate about the comic book industry, and I want it to continue to thrive. And we're lying if we're saying that, the North American comic book industry is struggling a bit. So I think something needs to come in and rejuvenate that. And I think that this could be one of the solutions to fix that problem. And that's what I'm trying. So I have I have it all, the financial forecast, the whole pitch deck, everything, all of that's all built out. I just got to keep knocking on doors. And like I did in my past ventures, like, it's disheartening process, but that's it. It's like literally you keep knocking on doors and you get one, and you just need to get one, and that will change your life, and it set you up for, a roller coaster of an experience. So I haven't been knocking on doors. I've paused that while I kind of figure out, this Deathshroud thing and kind of get that up and going. And then I've had some recent conversations that were random introduction, and I'm going to be circling back on those, and could lead to something.
I think you do some of these cons, you keep pushing the book, right person's going to walk around and be like, tell me.
And I can show them that video, man.
What you cooking on now? Like what you got going? What you got going now?
Yeah, so, you got to create your dumb luck moments, and there's in every success story.
That's my whole life.
Yeah, in every success story, there's a dumb luck moment.
My whole life, bro.
But Jay, think about it. If it wasn't for your consistency, that dumb luck moment wouldn't have been.
That's
there.
true.
And that's the thing. It's just like it's like that meme where the guy's like digging and there's diamonds or whatever. And he gives up. It's like, as corny as that is, but that's actually true. Is that I know that to be true because that was my life with like my past ventures. I was my last presentation. I was like, I was fucking broke. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is just getting no rejection. My last investor presentation, they said yes. And that changed my perspective on everything after that. And I was just like, you got to put yourself out there, and you're going to get 1,000 rejections, but eventually you'll get a yes.
I mean, I thought When I launched Achromatic Chronicles Blue, I was like, this is a kid's book. No one's going to buy it.
Dude, you did 6 figures on it.
Yeah. So that was shocking. And so I was able to, now I could finish the series.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So life is like that. Don't ever quit. That's the one thing. Keep fighting for your dreams. People notice. They really do. Well, please check out Deathshroud. The links are in the description over on Ripasend. If you're watching this on Friday, it's the final day of the campaign. I'm sure Chad's going to be live everywhere in the world tomorrow, or at least pushing it on all social medias. You can find his Twitter, everything in the description. Check him out. I'm going to have him back so we can talk about his little invention.
Hell yeah.
Because that'll take an hour plus going over that, because it's I got to see it. It's pretty awesome. So we'll dangle that carrot on the next run. But this is Jay with Welcome to the Rebellion podcast. Any final thoughts, Chad? Any final thoughts?
Well, I will be on the Rippaverse channel tomorrow at 7 p.m.
To close it out, right?
EDT, the closeout stream.
Yeah.
So definitely tune in. I have no idea who is going to be joining me. I'm sure it's going to be, the whole crew, hopefully. But definitely tune in. That should be fun. I have no idea what's going to be in store, but a lot of joking around and talking Deathshroud and comics and why Marvel and DC are shit.
That'll be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
It'll be a good time. Well, that's it from us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, everyone.